Oh my goodness. Yes, you are a hero. Did you see that? You tapped out. Some more? Go for it, puppy. Survived first winter.
Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be catching you up on our off-grid cottage build. It has been a minute and I just filmed this entire intro without my microphone and it sounded very bad. But I haven't been filming, so I'm out of practice, I suppose. Well, that's not true. I have been filming footage, just I haven't spoken to y'all in a hot minute. Springtime, it's been busy. I'm not going to give you excuses. I'm here now. If it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Melanie. In this Tam Tara Grows series, I bring you along as my mother and I develop our homestead on 56 acres, roughly 2,200 feet in the mountains in the Okanagan area of British Columbia, Canada. Let's take a look at all of the stuff we have been doing because Mom has been crazy busy. I will link up here, never get this right. I will link to the last off-grid cottage update we did. A lot has changed. Mom has been going so hard. It is the beginning of May, just so you guys have a bit of a frame of reference. Last time I did a little update here, I think it was still like full winter. We had still snow. Well, we have full winter in March, so there was snow on the ground. Take that as you will. Main things that have gotten done: ceiling has been finished, walls have been painted, there's a few different colors, a lot of different patterns going on, and that's actually on my to-do list today, is to finish whitewashing the pine board wall, and then all of the walls will be done. The pine board, I'll roll you guys some bee footage. We have the pine board on the ceiling as well as this one wall, and I wasn't loving that much pine board. I like pine board. I love seeing the grain of the wood. I think the patterns are very eye-catching. I like it. It's rustic. It's good. I'm down for it. However, it's like that yellow tone was just too much with the ceiling and the wall. So I'm going to whitewash the wall. I did consider, Mom and I had a conversation about whitewashing the ceiling, and what made me choose to whitewash the wall is literally how runny a DIY whitewash can be. I did not want to consider or have to mitigate whitewash dripping off of the ceiling onto the new floor. Let's take a look at this floor. Mom has been literally on her hands and knees installing this floor. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time Mom has put in a floor like this. It's a gorgeous, like rich wood color. Mom has also recut and realigned all of the doors. It's been an interesting journey, and Mom and I have talked about this frequently, how building in order to utilize supplies that you already have is so different than building fresh from the ground up. What I mean by that is these trusses, we already had them. My grandfather had them, and when he passed, gifted them to my mother. So then that kind of dictates the pitch of the roof, the square footage of the cottage itself. All of these windows, except for I think maybe one or two, were already owned and already here on the property. So then within the square footage that the trusses allotted for this cottage build, we then had to fit these windows in. The wood stove, which is still not installed, but the wood stove itself was again gifted to us from my grandfather. All of the doors, like this door back here, this guy that leads to the bathroom addition, this is a closet entry, like just a tiny closet door. This space, I'll put the measurements on screen, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I barely fit through it shoulder to shoulder. It's a little door. And I actually like it. I think it's cute that it's that small, but it's definitely an odd fit. So the floor is done, the ceiling is done, the walls have been painted. I went to Home Depot and chose this beautiful, so happy how it turned out, this beautiful dark emerald green for this back kind of feature wall. I say feature wall, every single wall in this cottage has a different color, so you can pick what one you like the most and call that the feature wall. But for me, the green wall is definitely what I would consider a feature wall. I'm going to hang a lot of gold gilded things on it, or at least that's the plan. There's no like large furniture that's going to take up a lot of space on this wall, so to me that makes it a feature wall. And it has a beautifully like framed in stained window with a nice sill and a nice view of some beautiful cedar trees and the forest behind the cottage. So it's picturesque to me. I like it a lot. We've got the white faux brick board. I'm not sure the name for that board, but it's faux brick. There were a couple areas where the pattern really didn't align, but thankfully those are actually covered by window trim and door trim. Again, props to my mom's foresight. So she was able to take that into consideration when placing the board and actually made the door trim wide enough to hide some of the mismatch patterns that really stood out. Other than that, I like it. It's a really simple, easy way to have like a nice finish on a wall with minimal work. But you do want to, I would highly suggest taking into consideration the patterning and the colors and the shading of the actual brick design when you're laying your wall out. So it takes a bit more pre-planning, but also you don't have to paint it. Behind our entry door, there is pine board finish, not the faux brick wall. That is because we're going to be framing that out and putting up coat hangers, and it's going to be like an exposed closet entryway. So the pine board will be part of that intentional design behind there. So that's a cute little addition. Behind me here, this is one of the many incredible marketplace, Facebook marketplace finds that has created this cottage. I got this, it's all real wood for 150 bucks. It's gorgeous. There are a few little corners that are nicked that I'm gonna have to glue back on, but that's totally fine. I have been debating whether or not I'm going to stain it a different color. There is this kind of bohemian, distressed, colorful gem tone inspiration that I have been really considering doing on this guy, and that is also the contributing inspiration to the color choice of this dark green wall. We'll see what happens. It's easier to do that later than to undo it, so I'm going to leave this, it's just natural stain, until I decide what to do. There's going to be a lot of that in this video. This is the rough game plan, but I have commitment issues, so I'm not committed to it yet. Now let's go check out the 8x8 bathroom / closet edition. It's a bit hard to give you guys like spatial awareness via camera. So this is the entrance from the main cottage area into the bathroom / closet / vanity / everything that could potentially look messy and I don't want in the main room is gonna go in here. That way, on those lazy days, I'll be able to close the door. Through the door from the main room, you do get to see a really nice muted, very, it's like very cottage chic, the combination of this stained window frame, the flooring, and this lovely, really light yellow. All right, so this is the 8x8 bathroom / closet area. I might sound extra echoey because it's very empty in here and we're in a pretty small space. There is, in this 8x8 bathroom, 1, 2, 3 windows that are essentially ceiling to floor, 2 of them, the one behind me and the one in front of me. And then we have the glass patio door. It leads out into my little outdoor garden area where I'll have a table and probably a barbecue for cooking in the summer. Like I mentioned before, in this area we're going to have my closet and kind of just storage. There's going to be some downsizing that's going to occur. However, I will do my best. I think my game-changing plan for the amount of clothes that I have and accessories, like when I say clothes, I don't just mean like fashionable town clothes. I mean like my overalls, different hats, different work boots, skiing gear, all of that kind of stuff. We have a lot of storage on the property, so I'm sure I'll be able to put some things in some totes and shove them in a shed somewhere. But I think the key player in that for me is going to be making sure I switch clothing out via the seasons. So basically take all my big sweaters and big, like, especially winter clothes, they take up so much room, and winter work clothes, they can get really, like, really gross. So I'll be switching this kind of seasonal clothing swap, and that's going to be one of my key tools in being able to fit everything into this little room. So it's an 8x8 space. There's 3 massive windows. Like I said, there's this beautiful exit out onto the patio garden area / outdoor cooking area for the summer months. Mom did an incredible job cutting the angle of the roof into the window trim. It's just, those angle cuts stress me out. I know she did a lot of measuring and angling and thought that went into that, so that's really awesome. There are a few like minor finishing things to do in here, like staining the butt ends of a few of the trims, just really small puttering stuff. I have to wash all of the windows in here. These windows, again, were given to us, so it's been a very interesting challenge using pre-existing windows into really tricky spaces, hence having to cut the trims for the angle of the roof. There is, like I showed you though, that beautiful yellow wall. We ended up having to mix some white paint into a brighter yellow that we had, just because it was had a bit too much like ducky vibes. It felt like a little bit of a duck color, so we watered it down with some white, and it's got that more muted yellow tone now. We painted the wall that has both the door and the window because we didn't want to make this 8x8 space darker. Obviously there's a lot of natural light in here. There's a bunch, most of the walls are just window, but it's a pretty dark green, and it's a darker space potentially. So we did the wall that has both a window and a door, so it's very subtle and it's an accent color. The wall that you can see behind me, there's the window and here's the wall. To the window, to the wall. Anyway, it's just an off-white. It's a nice kind of pinky muted off-white, very natural. And then we actually have the exterior wall of the cottage itself as one of the interior walls in here. So it is plywood. It's painted plywood. And this is going to be the wall in which we hang some sort of closet contraption. All right, that is it for the interior update on the off-grid cottage. Let's go outside and take a look. It is finally spring, so you'll be able to see a little bit better the lay of the land. All right, sorry for the noise. I know you guys can probably hear the creek in the background, but it is springtime and the runoff is real. The runoff is real. I hope you can hear me. The outside is still not done. That's okay. I will move into this cottage probably long before the siding or whatever we end up actually deciding to do on the outside is finished. However, we will be doing fascia board, sealing in and protecting basically underneath the roof, especially on the 8x8 bathroom addition. The rest of the house is not as exposed, but this stuff needs to get a little bit more sealed in, fascia board, etc. At the back here of the 8x8 garden, it comes out onto this area that I will use for a table. I'll probably have some potted plants, and eventually the goal will be to create some kind of pathway to a very secluded / hidden garden area closer to the creek where I can go and read my books and lay in the sun with my puppy dog and hide in the forest, which is really what it's all about. I also am planning on putting in a little pathway just to where the two big cedar trees are, and I'll hang a hammock there. So there's going to be some bushwhacking to do, some rearranging, and a lot of landscaping, but that's the fun part, and I'll be in the cottage long before I start those processes. That'll take a few years to move things around, and that's the nice thing, is that I can move into the cottage, take my time with getting furniture, just so that I can make sure everything I purchase, all of the projects I do, the DIYs, the landscaping, fits the space before I'm in there with a bunch of IKEA furniture half-assed put together that is useless. You really just want to make sure you're using your space wisely in a tiny, small space. So I'm going to do my best to pre-plan, get situated in my space before I get too excited and start buying stuff. Oh, side note, I have nothing against IKEA furniture. That is not what I was getting at in that statement. I'm just saying prefab furniture, like that massive china cabinet I have in there, might not always be the best bet. This is the backside of the cottage. It's actually quite shady back here, which is really nice. In the summertime, probably will be spending a lot of time in this area. These are the big cedar trees behind me here that I was talking about, that I will hopefully be able to hang a hammock in between. Boom, boom. This time of year, I know it maybe doesn't seem very exciting that there's a lot of tall trees and a lot of shade behind the cottage, but let me tell you, in the middle of August when it's 40 degrees, it sucks. So I'm probably going to be behind here quite often. I'm very excited for this little hidden hammock spot. All right, on this side of the cottage, it's looking a little rough because the weeds in springtime has happened, but we got a massive pile of dirt. It's going to be moved. We have some areas on the property that we have to kind of bulk up for gardening. This is the entrance that Ripley has been using to get underneath the cottage, which is not allowed, so we'll have to seal in the bottom as well. Over here you will also see this piece of plywood covering the big drainage barrel. So we're going to have just a gray water drainage system. There's a big barrel in there. I will get some big different kind of grades of stone to create a bit of a filtration process of sorts. That's in the works as well. I have to learn how to do that, but the hole is dug and the barrel is in place. Inside of the cottage where I showed you, this is kind of the kitchen corner. So the sink will be in this corner, the pipe will drop down, and then it'll go into this drainage barrel here, and then just slowly release into the land. This is the beginnings of a no-dig kind of cottage garden in the front. These logs are my firewood. They overwintered underneath a tarp over there because I didn't get to splitting the wood because I wasn't actually in the cottage, so it got bumped down on the priority to-do list. But this is a garden area. There is cardboard down. I have planted just some bulbs last fall. I ended up getting into the ground. But yeah, it'll be a little cottage garden in front of the cottage. How fitting. It wraps around, as you can see here, and eventually this will be the shed for all of my firewood, which is very close to the front door, which to me, in 4.5 feet of snow in the middle of December, is very important. All right, guys, I'm trying to keep this short. I could go into an 1.5 hour long conversation about all of the plans, the ideas, the different ways, all of the DIY options. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are going to have thoughts and opinions about how we did what we did and what we should be doing. Everything is welcome in the comment section, of course, free speech and all. However, let's use kind words, because my mother and I are not carpenters, nor are we builders, but we do build and we do carpentry. So we do our best. I'm very proud of my mom for doing all of the stuff that she did in there. She learned so much while she did it. We still have obviously some finishing touches going on, but I'm very excited, a little nervous, but very excited to get out into the cottage. We're at the point where I have to start packing up my stuff in the main house. On top of that, it's springtime. We've got the spring rush. We have chicks coming in about a week or two. We've got a quail setup that I gotta get going. So this video has to end because my to-do list is long. As always, live long and prosper, my friends. I will see you back here very shortly with another video. Bye-bye for now.